that the beast and the false prophet are going to be thrown into the lake of fire. Do you know who the first two inhabitants of hell are? The two people talked about in the 13th chapter of Revelation. They are the first two permanent inhabitants of hell, and they will be thrown into hell, and they will be once and for all done away with. We will never hear from them again. I mentioned earlier something about Antiochus Epiphanes, or Antiochus the madman, Antiochus Epiphanes. I want to tell you as we close about him for just a moment, because he is the biggest picture of the Antichrist. He was a Jew hater, and he did everything he could to destroy the Jewish people. He was the first conqueror of the Jews to mistreat the people that he had conquered.
Done nothing since November to come together as a team either. They're all over the place. They just got rid of their second in command because he wanted to change things. Who knows if it would have been the right move or not? Then if Rahm Emanuel comes up the middle and just ridicules everybody, people say, well, he's got no constituency. And Senator Fetterman, speaking his mind, they're trying to oust him and say he's lost his mind because he had a stroke when they told us when he had a stroke.
Tomorrow, clouds break for some sun at times, but there'll also be a heavy gusty thunderstorm around. Highs will be near 80. Highs are up closer to 90 degrees with some sunshine on Thursday. A very warm and humid day. There'll also be a strong thunderstorm that can contain damaging winds and hail during the afternoon. That's followed by partly sunny skies and lower humidity for Friday. High 85 degrees with mostly dry weather. Currently it's cloudy, still some drizzle around 64 in Central Park, going up to near 70. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Heather there on New York's weather station 1010 Winds on 92.3 FM.
Hey folks, it's Gary from the Real Estate Authority. And let me first say,
can be covered with Medicaid funds, for example, that would help maternal mortality, and then also do things like increasing revenue, like I said, by cutting down unnecessary spending or reforming property taxes.
So, are they different? Are the candidates very different on these things?
You know, of the three that I mentioned, Adams, Blake, and Lander, I would say that they're pretty similar in terms to their approaches. As for the other candidates that, you know, I don't see with really detailed plans for what they're going to do, in general, they all support Medicaid, and they're all against the funding cuts, so there's not a huge difference across candidates for this topic.
Here's a question from a listener in a text message that I'm sure you're going to want to push back on the premise of, but I want to give you that opportunity. The listener writes about life expectancy disparities. If people live longer, it's because of the choices they make in lifestyle and diet. Always, sometimes, or never, Dr. Donnelly?
I would say most of the time not. I think there is some degree that's a personal choice. But when you're talking about health disparities in New York City, zip code of where you live is actually the best predictor of how long you will live. It actually is less about what you're able to decide and more about what you have access to in your own neighborhood. Do you have an affordable grocery store that you can go to and buy healthy foods? Do you have a job that you don't have to commute hours to so that you can go on a walk in the evening? Do your kids have playgrounds that are safe to play on? These are actually issues that really are not in our control as individuals, but that the city and government has the ability to impact by doing things like creating government-funded grocery stores in neighborhoods, creating teen spaces where kids can go spend time together that's, you know, safe and clean. So I really would push back on the idea that, you know, your longevity is really up to you. I think a lot of it has to do with the environmental conditions that you're in and the economic conditions that you're in as well, which absolutely are impacted by the mayor's policies.
And so another question relevant to life expectancy disparities. In a way you just touched on it, listener simply asks, how does the air quality in the Black community affect longevity of Black elders?
That is also a really good point, and that's one that I've looked in a little bit too. So New York City actually has some of the highest asthma rates among kids out of any city in the United States. And those high asthma rates are not spread out evenly across the city. The Bronx, some communities in the Bronx actually have some of the highest asthma rates in the city, and that has a lot to do with pollution, both from traffic and expressways, but also from buildings and infrastructure. So this is something that affects longevity. I don't have good numbers in front of me or off the top of my head on how it affects elderly communities specifically, but I do know that asthma due to air quality and pollution are going to impact longevity of New Yorkers as well.
Here's a question about one of Zohran Mamdani's proposals as it might relate to public health. Question is, what do you think of Mamdani's plan to create city-owned grocery stores, one in each borough in food deserts, regarding healthy, affordable food? Writes that person.
I love that idea, honestly. I think access to food is something that we should all have as a human right, access to healthy food. So I think that that could have an impact on chronic diseases, especially something like diabetes and longevity. I think I would like to see additional details on how that plan gets funded and how you make that sustainable long term, but I think that if the logistics of that could be worked out, I think that's a great idea.
Listener texts, can you please ask your guest about mask bans as a threat to public health? It says many people still wear masks in public to prevent getting sick from COVID or anything else going around, filter out harmful matter from air pollution, and or because they're immune compromised. Masks